Chapter 25, Can't Afford to Pay. Chen Hao then added a deluxe room with a price starting at 18,800. The people who were seated in the deluxe rooms were naturally the well-known students in the class: Su Nan, Blondie and the gang, Yang Xia, Lu Chen, Meng Kairu, Chen Hao's roommates and Ma Xiaonan. Other students could only go to the rooms that cost 3,888. Young Master Lu, since we're splitting the bills of this room, who shall be the one to order? Chen Hao asked with a smile. Don't you have any manners? Lu Chen is the guest today. Although we are going to split the bills, young Master Lu should be the one to order first. Why? Are you afraid that he would order too much and you can't afford to pay your share? Yang Xia said contemptuously. Of course, Lu Chen had to order it first. Yang Xia was afraid that Chen Hao would order cheap food like hot and sour potato shreds. If that was the case, the plan to spend all his money would not work. In fact, Lu Chen had already discussed with Su Nan and his friends while they were in the car. Other than paying 60,000 to 80,000 for the room booking, they wanted to make Chen Hao pay another 70,000 to 80,000. They wanted Chen Hao to spend 150,000 to 160,000 or even more. Therefore, adding another room and splitting the bills were all part of Lu Chen's plan. He wanted to join forces with Su Nan to fight Chen Hao with their wealth. It should be a piece of cake. Okay. Then you order first. Chen Hao smiled wryly. Yang Hui, who was on the side, kept tugging at Chen Hao to remind him. But Chen Hao shook his head at them, indicating that they didn't have to worry. He knew his limits. Then I will skip the courtesy. Lu Chen took the menu and looked at the last page first. The signature dishes were usually at the back. The further below it was, the more expensive it would be: 1 Australian big lobster and 1 Australian abalone. While talking, Su Nan and the gang looked at Chen Hao cheerfully. They wanted to see his tangled face. However, there was no sign of fear on Chen Hao's face. Although Lu Chen was placing the order, he was actually calculating silently. After all, he only had 20,000 or 30,000 with him, which was a few months' worth of his pocket money, while Su Nan had around 10,000. They had a total of 40,000. In other words, today's quota shouldn't exceed 80,000, else, he would be digging his own grave. Lu Chen reasonably ordered a few expensive dishes on the back of the menu. After calculating, it was almost 30,000. The rest can be spent on alcohol and drinks. He then passed the menu to Chen Hao coldly. He had to make Chen Hao spend most of his money today with all his might, otherwise, he would be uncomfortable. What? You only ordered a few signature dishes. These 4 dishes don't even exceed 20,000, Chen Hao chuckled. What do you mean? If you are so daring, why don't you pick 2 more signature dishes from these 4 pages? Our Lu Chen doesn't care. I'm afraid you wouldn't dare to do so. As soon as Yang Xia saw Chen Hao sneering at Lu Chen, she immediately challenged him. The tutor Meng Kairu was swiping her phone at the side. She shook her head slightly. Chen Hao is really stupid. He doesn't know the height of the world at all. How can you compete with Lu Chen with that little money you have? By the way, waiter, how many signature dishes are there in these 4 pages? The waiter smiled and said, Sir, there are 20 dishes in total. They are all the top dishes in our restaurant. These dishes are exclusive in the deluxe room. Usually, only the tycoons would order 4 dishes at the same time. The price is already 10,000 to 20,000. Do you have any common dishes that you want to order? Oh, I see. Chen Hao closed the menu. Well then, just serve all the signature dishes on the last 4 pages of the menu. All 20 dishes. We'll order again if we need to, he said. What? The waiter's eyes widened and the ordering gadget in his hand fell to the ground. 20 dishes totaled 100,000. Damn, we have never served food like this before. My God, Chen Hao, are you sick? These 20 dishes, plus the room, it will cost nearly 120,000. Su Nan was shocked. Lu Chen was worried too. His money was limited as he had just calculated. I was thinking of playing with Chen Hao slowly, but I didn't expect Chen Hao to be so ruthless. Su Nan noticed Lu Chen's expression change. He had become silent. Chen Hao asked with a smile. How is it, young Master Lu? That's all with the dishes. Let's order some drinks. Why are you quiet? You don't think it's too expensive, do you? Do I think it's expensive? In your dreams. I'm just afraid that 200,000 isn't enough for you to pay for the other 3 rooms. Then we'll all be disgraced, Lu Chen retorted furiously. How can I be ridiculed by a poor loser who is looked down by everyone? I can't stand it. That's right, Chen Hao, don't you know your limits? Lu Chen is only paying his share of the bill for this deluxe room. Don't forget that there are 3 rooms downstairs. Although they didn't order the signature dishes, the food and drinks for each table will cost you more than 20,000. You will suffer because of your pride. With only 200,000, why even bother coming to this commercial street? It's not even enough to pay for dinner at home-cooked kitchen restaurant. Some of the girls who were close to Yang Xia began to worry. Rest assured, of course I know my limits. Young Master Lu will split the bills with me, so there shouldn't be any problem. Okay, since young Master Lu has no problem with it, let's order drinks then. By the way, any recommendation on the red wine you have here? Chen Hao turned to the waiter and asked. We have a vintage 1995 collection. It costs about 10,000 per bottle. It's considered as high-grade wine. As he noticed Chen Hao being so generous, the waiter directly recommended the expensive one. Firstly, it was to let Chen Hao retreat from difficulties, because these dishes were too expensive. Secondly, it was fine if he chose not to. The sales would be added to his commission anyhow, 10,000 per bottle. When Su Nan and Lu Chen heard this, they were already sweating. Even Meng Kairu and Yang Xia were surprised. Chen Hao, let me tell you, you'd better count the money in your pocket. Make sure you have enough money to pay for these. Yang Xia was afraid of spending money to this extent. She was afraid that Chen Hao would have an impulse to order 2 bottles of the expensive red wine. Bring me a box. Chen Hao's words terrified everyone on the spot. There were 6 bottles in a box. That's another 60,000, my god.